This is the 15th video in Assignment 01 Site Model for Architecture 5354. And in this last video, other than the other ones I've attached on to the playlist, we're going to cover how to create a sheet for this assignment, as well as a sheet template for the other assignments that will follow. So what we're going to do, I don't have it open, so I'll just open. Here's the sheet. It's a 36 by 72 inch sheet, okay, to be printed out, of course, on our plotters. And you'll notice right up here, there's a series of, a title block, a series of labels. This is a template. One can just bring it in whenever you go to make a sheet. You can go into Sheets, right, New Sheet, and then you have to choose a new sheet template to create a sheet. In this case, what we're going to do is make our own, and we don't need that. Okay, and so let's do it. So what to do that? What we're going to do is use an existing sheet as a template, and I'm just going to go into let's see, open a family, because it is a family, just like the furniture and doors and windows and all that kind of stuff is. And it's down here in title blocks. And so it's called a title block. I call it a sheet. It calls it a sheet over here, so who knows. But anyway, you can see where I already built this one right here. And so we're just going to kind of build this one again. And to do that, we're going to, let's use this one because it's close to 36 inches wide. And so I'm just going to use this D size. It really doesn't matter which one you use, because I'm basically going to strip it down and redo it all. So I'm going to open this, and fundamentally, other than this one label right here, okay, other than that one label right there, I'm pretty much just going to delete everything inside this sheet, okay, all those labels, all that title block, I don't want any of that, okay, and then I'll pull this back over here. What is this label right here? This label right here is this timestamp. So whenever you print this sheet out, the date, you'll see the date and the time, and you'll see the month, date, and year will be printed over here that it was printed. Of course, that's based on the computer that you're printing it from. And then the time, a timestamp will also be included. A time will be included. So we're going to leave that there so that we know when this was done. And I'm going to put a couple of dimensions in here so that we can see this. You can see here, this is only 2 foot 10 inches. And we probably really don't need those dimensions, but nonetheless. So to size this 36 by 72, which is 6 feet, right? I'm just going to select one of these lines, and when I do, we're going to get a dimension across here. So I want this to be 36 inches wide, and so I'm going to 36 inches wide. And now I'm going to select either the bottom or the top line. I'm going to move the top line. Let's move the top line, and we're going to move that up 72 inches. So 72 inches here. And so now we have a sheet, and I really don't need that dimension. And so we basically have our sheet now. The next thing I'm going to do is put me some, in a sense, guidelines. I don't want a line around my drawing like a set of construction documents or something like that. I actually want that as free space, but I'd like to know where the edge, how close I am to the edge. So I'm going to go in there and create a line. We'll just do a simple line, and I'm going to do this as an invisible line, okay? And probably easiest way, second thought, is to use offset. So I'm just going to use, it's set to 1/2 inch right now, and so I'm just going to use offset, and let's see here. It's offsetting that line, which isn't an invisible line, but that's okay. I'll just come back and change them. And so there's my 1/2 inch offset. I'm going to select that, hold the control key down, select that, select this one, and select that one. And then let's go into modify lines and see if I can find my line types. Where are they? Modify without these. Oh, there they are. Okay, and I'm going to make those invisible lines. And you'll see that they'll come out a little gray, okay? But that's a 1/2 inch from the edge. The next thing I'm going to do is kind of create an area for my title block here. And I'm going to offset, I'll do another offset of 2 inches, okay? And I'm going to offset it from here. And so that's the basic area that I'm going to use. I'm going to try to keep everything within that, okay? Now I'm in this, unfortunately, it's easy to get confused. Here's my site model over here, but here's what I want to do. These are different labels here. They are tied to, in the project, this project information. And you may notice that I changed the project information from what I originally told you to do. And so if you would go back and let's make the organization name Architecture 5354, the organization description, integrated building model, building name, design studio project, author, brilliant student, which will be your name, of course, because you're the brilliant student, right? And client name, Glenn Hill, and then project address, Texas Tech University, and then a project name, and we'll call A01 site model, okay? And you'll notice that I put these labels in here in my sheet. And so I'm real quickly, not going to take a lot of time in doing this, because once you know kind of how to do it, then you can take the time to make it good. The other thing I needed to do that I didn't do from the beginning, okay, and I need to do it right now before I forget, is go save as a family and save this D2234 as a different name, because if I don't, then I'm going to not have a D2234. Okay, so I like a little bit simpler. So 36 by, and once again, this was 72. And I like to put whether it's horizontal or vertical in there. Of course, if you wanted a long banner type of thing, you could make it 72 by 36 instead. Okay, and we'll just call this vertical, and we'll put a 2 after it to make it vertical 2. Okay. And so now we can put text in here, we can draw lines. All of these become a part of the permanent title block, or the template for all of our sheets. And so what I'm going to do is, as quickly as possible, I'm going to go in, and first of all, I'm going to use my labels, okay? And labels are parameters that have been introduced into your drawing, okay, that have a set name, and instead of the parameter, it will put whatever you had in there, okay? So we're going to label here, and when you click on the sheet, it's going to show you all the existing, these are all the default labels. Now we can put a whole bunch, okay, of labels in here, but and create our own, but these are all the defaults that are included in the drawing. And the main thing we want is, the first is project name, okay? So I'm going to go project name, and of course project name was the A01 site model. And so I'm going to say okay to that. And you'll see that, okay, now project name is in here. Well, that's way too small, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it, I'd like for it to be 1 inch. So let's see if I have a label that's 1 inch. Oh, I keep hitting on type when I should be hitting right here. Okay, and no, the biggest label I have is 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so I'm going to make me a 1 inch is probably going to be too big. Let's make us a 3/4 inch. So I'm going to select 3/4 inch label. Okay, and I'm going to edit the type, and I'm going to duplicate it, of course, so that I don't get rid of it. And so we'll call this 3/4. Right? We'll say okay, and then black is fine. Line weight, probably since it's such a large text, I'm going to go up to about a 3. That's a medium weight line. The background's transparent. The other thing I really need to change is the size Of course, I can change the font if I wanted to. If I wanted to go Times Roman, you can use any TrueType font as long as they're loaded into Revit. All these, of course, are all the default fonts that it comes with, but you can use any TrueType font that you load into Revit. And there's videos and tutorials on how to load additional fonts into Revit. So anyway, I'm going to say OK to that. And of course, this boom gets much bigger. Okay, and I want my project name to be over here. So we put the project name in here. And then the other thing you need to do is kind of move it around. I'm using the arrow keys, right? It'll also snap to a certain degree to certain things. The closer, of course, you zoom in, the tighter the snap is. And you may want to make sure this extends out, a fair bit. And then probably I'm going to come down and do something about like that. Okay. You'll notice in my sheet here, I've got Architecture 5354, integrated building modeling. We said that was the organization and the organization description. Okay. And so I'm going to pop that in real quick. Create label. And then I'm just going to, now that text, I probably don't want to be 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to change that in just a second. But let's see, what did we say that was? Organization name. And you can also add these to each other. So I can say, okay, organization name, and then add also organization description to this second. And then between those two, I'm going to put a colon and say, hey, put a colon and 2 spaces. Okay, I hit the tab key, I mean not the tab key, but the space bar a couple of times. I'm going to say apply, say okay. And now, okay, there it is. And that's 1/8 of an inch. I think that's a little too small. Probably 1/4 or 3/8. We'll just go with 1/4. Okay, so, well, I don't think I changed that. Yeah, I didn't. Select and 1/4. There we go. Okay, so now this one here, and I'm going to pop it up here. And once again, I'm just going to use my arrow keys to nudge it over, kind of put it in place where I'd like to have it. Use that edge over here, use that line if I can as a snap point. It's snapping. You'll see once you get text in here, it'll start snapping to itself. Okay. I can't remember now. Let's see. This had, the author's name in here, spring 2020. That's just text. I could have found a label that was, close to it, but I didn't. So I'm just going to put a 1/4 inch text over there. I don't know, that 1/4 inch will do. So I'm going to go in and create. This time I'm going to create text and just pop some text in here. And we're going to call that spring, S-P-R-I-N-G 2020. And that should be 1/4 inch text there. And then you'll notice that text moves a little differently. Whoops. It's really hard sometimes to not grab the control there rather than the move, but now I've got it. Okay, and so I'm going to pop that over here. I had the instructor's name right here, so we said that was the client, right? So I can go back in, create label, and in this case I'm going to use 3/8 of an inch label, and we're going to, and client's name, oh, it's alphabetical, and I'm going to say apply, okay. And then, you'll want to pull this out probably just the amount that you need so that it'll kind of right justify or at least I would like for it to write justify. Um, if I move this out, it'll then, yeah, but I don't want that at the top. I want this to be down here. Yeah, like that. Okay, client's name, author's name. Let's go ahead and stick that in. Uh, Label 3/8 inch. Once again, right there. And author, of course, is right there. And once again, your name might be really long. You can put first name, last name. It's perfectly fine. I'm going to kind of center it right there. You might have to center it. I'm centering it based on assuming that you're going to have a little bit longer name than author. Okay. And then I had over here, I believe there was, I'll just go ahead and put the last thing in. What was it? And I didn't like the where this was. This was Design Studio Project, Texas Tech University, and let's see, that was building name, and oh, what was that? Building name and project address, building name. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is go over here and put in. Now, let me finish this first. Okay, create label. So the first thing I want to do is put the building name in. Once again, there's building name, and then project address, which is Texas Tech University. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. I'm going to put a, let's just put a comma here this time in 2 spaces. Okay. And so, of course, I want to stretch that out. And what I'm going to do, instead of putting it down here under the project name, it's 3/8. It's a little bit larger. I think I like that. Once again, until that name goes in there, you really don't know, which direction. Now, what you can do, I think, let's go into modify. I can't remember if I can adjust that. No, well, anyway. So, stick it in there, and then you'll notice that what I did is I added text in front of this by, right? Brilliant student, and then instructor, so the instructor was different. So you can do that, or just leave student there. You can add a few more text if you want to, or whatever. So now you have a sheet. Let's go back. Let's save the sheet. File, save. Come on, save. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is load into project and close. So I'm going to load it into the project. And of course, I'm in the wrong view for it to create a sheet, and that's fine. We'll just go in here, and this time I'm going to create a new sheet. And instead of using my vertical 1, I'm going to use my vertical 2. And boom, it automatically put Brilliant Student in there. And now you may go, well, I don't like the way, that's not centered enough. You'll have to go back to the family and edit it. What you can do is hide this and select it, okay, and go edit family. That'll open the file back up, okay, and then we can select right here, tab this over a little bit more. Unfortunately, I'm not sure unless I do some measurements exactly, and then I can say load into project and close. Yes, save this. Yes. Overwrite. It's telling me, asking me if I want to overwrite it. Overwrite existing version. Yes. Okay. And so that's closer. I'd probably want to get these so that they're kind of maybe, kind of into symmetry. Glen Hill probably should be pushed over a little bit further. But anyway, now I've got my my template, and I can just bring in drawings. If I wanted a separation line in here, I could go back and draw a line in my template, or draw it in right here I can do all kinds of things that's not in the template just right on the sheet. Okay, that finishes that.